What's going on, gamers? It's your boy Richie Bond bringing you my Week 6 Team Builder analysis for the CGC Draft League versus Cotn and the Sydney Sylveons. Cotton's a longtime friend of mine from the internet. He's a really swell guy, and I'm really looking forward to battling him. He has a very scary draft, and he also has a really unique playstyle that he's pretty well known for. He likes playing bulky teams, slow teams, making the match go a long time, wearing out your physical pieces, and then taking the win from there. So with that knowledge in mind, having played against Cotn before, I have some plans for this battle. As a side note, I have a new microphone. It's not fully set up yet, so I'm sorry if it doesn't sound great. I have to get a new boom arm, so it's not in the exact location that I want it to be in. So if I sound kind of far away, I promise I'm working on it. I turned up my gain, but I don't want it to peak, so it's a gentle balance, so please bear with me. Hopefully by the time that the battle goes up, I'll have everything calibrated the way that I want it to be. With that being said, let's look at his draft. As an A tier, he picked up King Gambit. King Gambit's one of the best new Gen 9 mons. It's crazy. It's really good. Bisharp has access to EV Light, and this thing is still bulkier, not to mention stronger. It's slower, but it doesn't really care. It's going to be hitting you with Sucker Punch. It has excellent abilities. Of all the people that draft King Gambit and might actually use pressure, Cotn is one of those people. Cotn could certainly find a way to make use of pressure. That being said, I think Defiant and Supreme Overlord are the way to go. This thing gets decent coverage, but you're really just running like Dark and Steel, and then like maybe Terra Blast, maybe Brick Breaker Low Kick, but it doesn't really need much because this Pokemon is crazy. It works well with a lot of held items, and it's just really threatening, and it's a key target for me taking down Cotn's team. Cotn picked up Garganacl. Garganacl's a really crazy Gen 9 mon as well. It is really bulky. It has a signature move that does damage over time, and it does like a quarter damage over time into water and steel types. It's kind of a lot. It's kind of excessive. It gets support moves like Wide Guard. It has recovery in Recover, and you usually give it stuff like Leftovers. Purifying Salt gives it a resistance to Ghost, like out of nowhere. Garganacl's crazy, and it's just another part of why Cotn's team is so threatening. We got Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is just classic. It's all the Rotoms are good. All the Rotoms have the same stats except for base Rotom, so they're all strong. Rotom Wash is arguably one of the best. If it's not the best, it's in the top 2 next to Heat. It's just really good. It's a fantastic typing, makes great use of Terra, good all-around stats. It's a solid mon, and it does really consistent things and has a couple of really good sets. Screamtail, I think, was kind of a sleeper pick. By around the time we were doing the draft series 2 wasn't live yet, or I guess Regulation B, and we knew Screamtail was good, but we didn't really think it was like Orlando first place good. That being said, in the Orlando context, it was being piloted by Wolf Glick in a mode that is very hard to play. So one of the best players in the world and a really difficult archetype was where Screamtail saw success. But that being said, I don't think that means Cotn can't handle using this mod either. It's really good for the stuff that he's trying to do. It's a crazy support. It has all sorts of utility moves. It's not very powerful, but it has just so many tools to make your battle difficult. And as a Paradox choice, this is the perfect one for Cotn, I think. Grafaiai is really cool. It's one of my favorite new Pokemon in Gen 9. You don't see it a whole lot, but it's a really good Prankster support. It has great abilities. I mean, Prankster obviously, but Poison Touch is cool. You can do stuff with Unburden too. Acid Spray is a fantastic support move. It has its unique signature move Doodle, which copies the target's ability and makes it Grafaiai's and its partners. Which brings us into a Pokemon that you might see on the screen now that's coming up is Slacking. We'll just jump to it right now. We'll go back to Vaporeon. Slacking is a Pokemon that usually people don't run because Truant is so debilitating. It has stats that's insane. It's better than some legendaries, and the drawback to it is that it only attacks every other turn. However, if you disable that ability, you have a really immensely threatening normal type that you just have to deal with all of a sudden. Its only bad stat is special defense. Everything else is good, if not great. This is a really menacing Pokemon, and with Grafaiai, it just makes perfect sense. It was a really good value pickup. You would imagine that whoever got Grafaiai would also get Slacking in this draft, and Cotn managed to get both. Just a really threatening pair that forces you to prepare for it, even if Cotn doesn't bring it, which is just really smart. Vaporeon is just a really solid, bulky water. It's really good. It certainly is nerfed with the removal of Scald, but it's still strong. It still has access to cool tools like Haze and Chilling Water. Great typing. Water Absorb is super handy, especially when you have a Garganacl. It's a good mon. I don't have a lot to say about it, but it is potent, and I have to be prepared to deal with it. I think I have plenty of tools to deal with Vaporeon, though. Quillfish is great. I love Quillfish. I'm a big Quillfish fan personally. It gets Poison Point, Swift Swim, and Intimidate. Those are all great. All have a ton of utility. It's really good support. It gets stuff like Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Flip Turn, Thunder Wave, Destiny Bond. It's just a really cool mon. I'm sure Cotn can pilot it really well. Have to be ready for it. Donphan is cool. Donphan was one of the best Earthquake users, and if I couldn't get Crocodile, Donphan was definitely on my list. I believe it was a D tier in this draft, which is kind of a steal. It's not the strongest Pokemon ever, but it's pretty good. It's serviceable. It has some really unique attacks like Ice Shard. It gets as an egg move for a priority option, which is just really cool. You can throw a Choice Band on it, make it Terra Ice, and click Ice Shard. It actually is pretty good. I don't expect to see that set, but it's just something that's cool that Donphan can do. Normally, you just want Donphan to click Earthquake, and there's not a lot of partners on Cotton's team that want to take Earthquakes, but it also gets stuff like high horsepower, I believe. Checking. Yeah, so it still does plenty of damage, and it's just a really cool ground type. Last but not least is Flapple. Well, maybe least. I don't really believe in Flapple. I'm not really sure what it does. It had a niche in a Dynamax format where you could give it Life Orb and Hustle, and when you Dynamaxed, the accuracy drop to Hustle didn't matter, but the attack boost did, so it ended up doing a lot of damage. In this format, it's like its other two abilities are most useful for like defensive situations, like Appleton still uses them to great effect, but this Pokemon is just awkward. It's not strong enough to justify its middling bulk and middling speed, in my opinion. If it shows up and sweeps me, I'll put my foot in my mouth, but for now, I just am not really worried about Flapple, so I'm going to ignore it. With that being said, after reviewing Cotton's draft, let's look at what I intend to bring to my Week 6 battle. Here they are. Here's the squad. It's pretty similar looking to a lot of other squads that we brought before, but let me describe to you in detail some of the plans that I intend to do with some of these sets. First off, we got Dragapult. We're bringing Dragapult. We're bringing Clear Body, Offensive, Acrobatics Dragapult. So I was looking at my options to beat Screamtail, and I don't have a lot. Screamtail is just really hard to deal with. I don't have too many options, and I felt like just Offensive Ghost Dragapult was a decent bet. So my logic here, I was like, okay, how do I deal the most damage to Screamtail? I decided that Dragapult's strongest ghost move that isn't like too much of a liability is Phantom Force, but you have the penalty of needing 2 turns to use it. So I wanted to see how I could optimize a way where using Phantom Force wasn't going to be such a drawback. So I decided on Power Herb. Cotton's going to see Dragapult with his Screamtail and not be worried about Dragapult because he knows that Dragapult, the best thing he can do in 1 turn is Astonish, which I'm not going to do. So here with Power Herb Phantom Force, I can use Phantom Force immediately and bop it. It's not going to one-shot it unless it's really fast and offensive for some reason, but bulky Screamtail is not going to one-shot. It's going to do good damage, which is important. After that, we're ripping off Roaring Moon. We are going for Terra Flying Acrobatics. It's going to be great. I'm running Substitute because there isn't really any other move I want to run. Bird Spam and Phantom Force just kind of get the job done against this team, besides Garganackle, but like I shouldn't use Dragapult to beat Garganackle anyways, and regardless, Sub is good into Garganackle. So with all the saddest moves going around, I thought Sub would be useful. If I can identify an opening where Cotton has to play defensively, get a sub up, I'm just in a good position. I have max attack, a good amount of bulk, and a good amount of speed. I think this Dragapult set is a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to using it. Up next, we have Iron Valiant. I'm running a modest one, and I'm running Aura Sphere and Shadow Ball. I don't really need any Fairy coverage. Doesn't really do anything for me. Cotton has Fairy resists, and Cotton doesn't have anything that's weak to Fairy, so why bring Fairy? I chose Aura Sphere because Kingambit usually runs close combat, or sorry, Kingambit usually runs Assault Vest, and I could run Close Combat, but I just felt like committing to a special set. Aura Sphere still does a ton of damage to it, even with Assault Vest. If it doesn't have Assault Vest, it just completely bops it. And Shadow Ball seemed really good. It hits a lot of things that aren't Purifying Salt Garganackle, and I have Terra Ghost as well, which just helps my slacking matchup. I think Fighting and Ghost is just solid in general. With all the support going on in Cotton's team, with like Screamtail and Quillfish, I thought Encore seemed like a really strong option here. I can also catch out Protects and keep them locked in that way. This just seems really, really good to me. I like having Valiant on the team because there's a lot of situations where I've noticed my opponents like to try and go for burns on it because they think it has close combat. I think this is really valuable because there's a couple Pokemon on Cotton's team that kind of want to get a burn, like Rotom, and if I can like Encore them into Will-O-Wisp or something, or like Protect, or any move really, I just think Valiant looks really cool and really strong. I'm running Booster Energy, and I have 1 point more in Special Attack with that modest nature, so I actually do get a Special Attack boost. I should still be outspeeding everything, unless it's a Photosynthesis Screamtail, but besides that, or a Choice Scarf or something. Besides that, I should outspeed everything. And Cotton doesn't have a ton of speed control on his team, so I feel pretty good that Valiant will be going first and just poking holes and stuff and being annoying with Encore. Up next, we're bringing Bronzong. We're bringing Heavy Metal, Heavy Slam Bronzong. This is the best thing into Screamtail that I have on my team. Heavy Metal, Heavy Slam just had the most consistent damage. It just felt like the right thing to do. Covert Cloak is really good against Garganackle. It makes me not just lose to Garganackle. It just makes me instead take like 0 damage. And I'm running Iron Defense Body Press. It's a little tricky, I'm going to be honest, with this particular Bronzong in the fact that I have no recovery on it. I'm not too worried. The moves that it has are really good. I would run Recover if I could, but in this context, I think Trick Room's just going to get me more mileage. You'll see it's almost entirely physically defensively bulky, and it's going to sit in front of Cotn's offensive pieces and body slam them and body press them, heavy slam them, just trying to get as much damage as possible. If Cotn tries to set up a slow game, I'm gonna match him. I'm gonna get +6 iron defense on Bronzong and just smack stuff and live forever. That's my idea. Even though we don't have innate recovery, we do have ways to recover Bronzong later on in the team. We'll get there in a minute. Up next is Pachirisu. We've been bringing like the same Pachirisu set every week, but it's just the right set. It's just the way to go. I don't know. We're doing Nuzzle, Super Fame, Fake Tears, Follow Me. Fake Tears plus Iron Valiant goes crazy. It does a ton of damage. It's a little awkward because Pachi goes after Iron Valiant, but it's just really good. It lets me KO like everything, and because I'm not Prankster, I can use it on King Gambit, which people aren't super used to because usually you pair Fake Tears on a Prankstermon like Grimmsnarl or something, but because this isn't Prankster boosted, I can get that going. That being said, I have to be careful. If it's Defiant, I'll proc Defiant, obviously, but I still think this is a good strat. Nuzzle just for variance is always useful. Super Fang for cutting HP in half is huge. Forcing a Ghost Terror on something like Garganackle due to a Super Fang, are you serious? That does a ton of damage. Just flat 50% off of full HP is so nice to have. And then Follow Me. You know, keeping Bronzong alive is a priority, and Pachi seems like a really good partner for that. Just seems good. I don't know. Up next is Rotom Mo. Love my Rotom Mo. This is a spec set with Trick. I didn't really need any coverage moves or anything, so I'm just going Terror Electric just to get that perfect defensive typing with Levitate, Thunderbolt, Leaf Storm, Volt Switch. What else do you need? Furthermore, Trick seems really potent because a lot of Cotn's Pokemon don't want to be locked into any of their moves. The way that it's designed so defensively, they want to be doing different things all the time. So if I'm smart and I can get a choice specs on something like King Gambit, or Garganackle, that's excellent. If I can put this on Garganackle, I'm in such a good place. So while I do kind of just want to swing and do damage with choice specs and like Fake Tears on Pachirisu, I think the Trick option is great, and I feel really confident about Rotom Mo in this matchup in particular. Last but not least is Vivillon. I love Vivillon so much. This is the first week we're running Shield Dust for a couple reasons. One, I don't want to be faked out. I don't want to experience secondary effects from these annoying moves like Salt Cure, for example. And just like it helps reduce variance. Another reason is because Vivillon is a likely lead, and if Cotn brings Grafaiai and Slacking, I don't want to let him doodle Friend Guard. Compound Eyes is a little more reasonable, but Compound Eyes just literally did nothing for me, and where I feel like Shield Dust here in combination with Pollen Puff versus Garganackle and Terra Ground puts me in this unique situation where I'm not like really bulky, but if I go Terra Ground, I can take several Salt Cures and I'm not taking damage over time because of Shield Dust, and it just really helps support the team, and it just seems really good. That's why I'm Terra Ground. And also preventing paralysis from Thunder Wave off of Quillfish and things like that. Terra Ground seemed like the play, and I'm just kind of hype on it. Pollen Puff is, as I was saying before, the only way that we can really heal Bronzong or any of our team, so I really want to be able to use Pollen Puff effectively. Psychic seemed like the best offensive move to bring, strangely, in light of like a Terra Poison Garganackle. There's Grafaiai. It just kind of seemed like Psychic was the way to go. Get those drops, right? More special defense drops in conjunction with Fake Tears. It could happen. Seemed kind of cool. It's really here for Pollen Puff and Rage Powder. That's the real reason that Vivillon is here. That is the team I'm bringing. We're gonna battle. You're gonna see the battle tomorrow after you see this video. So I wish myself luck. I hope you wish me luck. I hope it goes well. If you like this team, leave a like on the video. Leave a comment. What do you think about these sets? What would you do differently if you had the 10 mons that I had? I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for the battle.